Hi there, I'm Adam McDermott, and today I'm sharing with you my top 10 PS3 games. Now, I don't know if it's because the PS3's life cycle was 7, 12, 14, 42, 112 years, but it is my favorite console, and I got the opportunity to play so many great games. By no means is this a list of the best games, these are my favorite. Objectively speaking, some of these are nowhere near the best, but they either left a lasting impression or I just couldn't put down. Let's begin. Coming in at number 10 is Resistance: Fall of Man, the PS3 launch title. I was so excited about the PS3, everything about it just like I want to know more. It seemed like a big jump between the PS2 and the PS3 in terms of graphics, and Resistance looked gorgeous. I remember getting one of those PlayStation magazines, I don't know if they still do them anymore, I think it was called PS Mag, might still be around. And they had this big feature on Resistance and all the crazy guns, and I was like, yes! And the enemies of the Chimera and their cooling system on their back and the invasion and the alternate timeline, I was all in. And when I got around to playing it, after dropping a fortune on the PS3, luckily myself and my brother went halves in it, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to afford it. He got Oblivion and I got Resistance. And we didn't have a HD TV, so I had to plug it into this monstrosity of a TV. It was like this wide and I had a fucking arse in it. It was huge. Remember when TVs went like back about, I don't know, 4 or 6 meters, feet, I don't know, yards, whatever you want to call it. Huge TV. But I played it on that TV and it looked great, even though it was SD the whole time. The weapons were crazy. I really liked the story where you played a small part in a much bigger war which you were slowly losing. I thought some of the battles were epic when you rush in and you got other soldiers alongside you and they get mowed down by the Chimera and you're trying to pick them off. By today's standards, it's pretty minute, but when I played it, it felt huge. I couldn't get enough of the game. I played through it on all the difficulties. I did all the skill point challenges. And I went and played it online. You may not know this, but I'm not a fan of playing online. I prefer single player. But I just wanted more of Resistance. So I went online and I had this really good multiplayer that is still to this day one of my favorite multiplayers for a shooter. In that when you get hit from behind, you had enough time to turn around and then fire back. And if you got enough accuracy and you get enough headshots, you can still come out victorious, where nowadays in a game you get shot from behind, you're gone. Whereas this, you get shot from behind and then you have this weird, I suppose it's called circle strafing, where like your character's here and your opponent is here and you're both firing at each other and you're kind of like doing this weird dance to try and get headshots and avoid the other person. Is this circle strafing. It's done in like Unreal Tournament, but I didn't know that at the time. But I thought it was so cool. I played it endlessly online. I picked it up recently for about €3 just to, I don't know, waft in nostalgia and see is it any good years later. It holds up. The graphics are surprisingly good. The combat is solid. That main weapon, the carbine, feels great. And the story, I don't know, some people might not like it, but I certainly did. And as a first game for the PS3, I don't think I could have picked a better one. Number 9, Madden 11. What's this? An Irish lad putting an American football game on his favourite games list. Back in 2010, I suppose, I got big into American football. I used to watch it every single Sunday. I was a huge fan of Peyton Manning and Ray Lewis, these two field generals, and I used to look forward to them playing against each other. And I got hooked on just learning this new sport, which on the surface looked like giant dudes bashing against each other with no rhyme or reason. But then you dig a little deeper and you realize that every single person on the field has a responsibility. And they have this for every single play. And there's like 100 plus plays for a single game. I was learning all about, zonal defense, hot routes, fucking run plays and cutbacks and strong side, weak side, blocking schemes. Just this wealth of knowledge that I was happy and more than willing to just milk as much as possible. So what I do is I play Madden during the week, learning up all these different things. And then on Sundays I'd watch the football. I'm even saying football instead of American football. I'd watch football and then learn from that and see what people are doing and then just fuel the addiction. And that was what I did for ages. And I got really good at this game. And it is the first game I ever got a platinum trophy in. I basically had all the trophies anyway. What was left was just, you know, a couple of cleanups. And there was the first ever platinum trophy. Pretty cool. I've since lost interest in American football. Peyton Manning's retired. Ray Lewis is gone. Bunch of guys are still around, but, you know, I don't really have the time to sit down on a Sunday for 6 to 8 hours and watch American football. Before I used to just, you know, Sunday was sit in your arse and watch real athletes compete, because you don't have to. Number 8, XCOM Enemy Unknown. I got dangerously addicted to this. So I don't know what was going on in my life when XCOM came out, but either way, I had enough time where this is my routine. I moved the PS3 into my bedroom. That was a mistake. It was right by my bed. Literally, I turn over and I can reach the controller, beep, woo, fans come on, click the remote, I'm playing XCOM. I would wake up, play XCOM, at some point in the day eat, continue playing XCOM. Before I know it, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, might as well go to bed. Wake up, play XCOM, some point eat. Oh my, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Time to go to bed. This was my routine for, I don't know, like almost a full week. Madness. I got hooked on the base building, trying to upgrade everything, and then being dragged away to fight aliens. Then when I was fighting aliens, I didn't want to go back to the base. I wanted to keep fighting aliens. Then I was back at the base, but I didn't want to leave the base. So I go this constant thing, these two parts of the game just worked so well together, and I couldn't get enough of either one. In that week that I played XCOM, I say I put about 80 hours into it. In terms of addictiveness, it hooked me and it wouldn't let go. So much, in fact, that I am afraid to play XCOM Enemy Within or XCOM 2, because I can't afford to spend 80 hours in a week again playing XCOM. It was great at the time, and I don't know, I must have been unemployed or something, but either way I found time to play XCOM for 80 hours. Marvellous. I still watch the occasional live stream of XCOM. Like, the addictiveness is still lingering. I'm like a recovering crack addict. I may never play XCOM again. I know it was unhealthy how much I played in that week, but I loved every minute. Number 7, Spec Ops: The Line. I did not love every minute of this game. No way. This is a game I will never play again. The gameplay is mediocre. The combat is annoying at times. The story, however. The story. Jesus. Talk about impact. I've made a full video called Personal Experience with Spec Ops: The Line, which goes into way more detail about how the game messes with you. It's just impactful story that ends with an oomph. Oh, I thought about that game a lot. It was a game that I went and read like essays on, and I read a book on, and I read like all this crazy stuff that people got from that game. It's marvellous. It's just a huge pity that it never really got a chance. It looks like a generic shooter almost by design. Anyway, it left a lasting impression on me. Number 6, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. This was the first game on the PS3 that made me go wow when it came to the graphics. It seems so stupid now, but when we could roll with Drake. Obviously you press circle, you do a bit of a roll, and if you roll through water, his clothes get wet and then they dry off over time. That might seem useless by today's standard, but at the time I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And this game was beautiful. The setting of the jungle, the story, searching for El Dorado, and the introduction of Nathan Drake, Sully, and Elena. It's just like all of it tied together into this really memorable adventure. And the gameplay, while at times could be a little bit janky, I thought it worked so well, and I was more than happy to do the old pop and stop style gunplay, especially when you mix in the light melee and occasional puzzles. Just more than anything, I think it was the setting, the lush, beautiful, colourful setting at a time when most games are going for that gritty, realistic brown colour. Uncharted popped up as this bright beacon of, hey, we don't have to be depressive and serious. We can just have a rollicking good time around the jungle looking for treasure. And of course, the Uncharted series goes on to be one of my favourites. And this is what started it. Still my favourite to this day. And I know objectively Uncharted 2 is better and most people's favourite, but Uncharted 1 was the first that did that wow factor was gone by the time Uncharted 2 came out. Although still, very good game. Number 5, BioShock Infinite. I went back and forth between BioShock or BioShock Infinite for the 5th place on this list. The reason why I go with Infinite over BioShock 1 is because I think Infinite is much more fun to play and has a better ending. The magnificent moment in BioShock 1, the would you kindly, the big reveal, that happens about 3/4 of the way into the game. There's still another quarter which is just basically a fetch quest. And then the ending and the final boss is kind of so-so. Whereas Infinite, I think, has a much more interesting ending. Good is, subjective. Some people liked it, some people thought it was ridiculous. But at the very least, I found it interesting. What really seals the deal for me is that on a random evening, when I've got feck all to do, I'll boot up BioShock Infinite and just blaze through the game in 4 hours, maybe 4.5. And I'm always finding something a little bit different, something around a different nook and cranny. The game is full of surprises and little treats, and for me is a joy to play. Number 4, South Park: The Stick of Truth. Funniest game I've ever played by a long shot. It is unbelievable to me that a game can be funny from the moment you begin to the moment you end. Everything from the story, which obviously it's made by South Park guys, of course, going to be funny and absurd. But even the combat is funny. The way the character's special abilities, the collectibles you pick up, all the cameos by just about every character in South Park's entire, 22-year run, they're all somewhere in this game, at least mentioned, or they've given a full, like getting David Hasselhoff rhinoplasty, or Jesus in the church, or the critters in the mountains, which I didn't figure out until way, deep into my second playthrough they even existed. Finally being able to walk around the town of South Park, it was nothing short of magical. I think I've watched through the entire show, and it's a lot of episodes. I think I've watched through the entire show maybe 3 times, and at various points in my life. And to see it fully realized as a fan was something truly special. And I cannot wait for the sequel. Number 3, Limbo. I've lost count of how many times I've played through Limbo. It must be at least 10. Again, much like Infinite, if I got a bit of time to kill, I've got Limbo on my PS4 and it's never going to be deleted. I'll even just boot up and play a little bit and then just carry on. The atmosphere, the ambiguous nature of it. I did a full video called trying to decipher Limbo's ambiguous story. Just so many theories emerged in that game about what might be happening. And even now, I'm still getting comments on that video of people with additional theories, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that makes sense. And for this tiny 2-hour game to have that much of a lasting impression on not only me, but so many people is impressive. To this day, it is still my favourite art style in any game. Number 2, Dead Space. Jesus, this game terrified me. I played the whole game in the dark. Every single chapter I'd walk in, turn on the PS3, turn off all the lights, and then bite my nails as I went chapter by chapter trying to finish this magnificent game. And I could only ever play one chapter at a time. The atmosphere, the setting, the strategic dismemberment, the monster design, the little semblance of this marker leading to an overall bigger story into the lore. Just all of it I adored. That ending was perfect. And the fact that the first letter of the chapter names spell out the ending. Again, don't look it up if you don't know the ending, you don't want to know the ending. But I didn't figure it out until about a year later, and it was so cool. And this is the second game I ever platinumed, and the first one that really felt like I earned it. I had to play through the game on the hardest difficulty. I had to play through the game using only one weapon, the plasma cutter, which is the first weapon you're given in the game. And I had to replay it to upgrade all my weapons, and it felt like a proper challenge and planted the seeds for what would become my trophy hunting show platinum journey. The series, as it continued, may have strayed so far from what made that first game special, but that first game is still special. Number 1, The Last of Us. I can't even put into words how much I adore this game. It's like the struggle of the characters, the perfect gameplay that fits with the story, the journey they go on across America through the seasons, the ups and downs, the characters they meet on the way. Just all of it tied together into an adventure that I didn't want to end. And speaking of ending, when the credits rolled, I was like, my jaw was on the ground, because that ending, and just, it's so perfect. It's so perfect for a game. Nailed the ending, just nailed it. And I was like, I've played my favorite game ever. It was just like instant. This is my favorite game ever. And I've since played it back like maybe 5-6 times. It's one of those games that I just kind of once a year replay. and I know it inside and out. I know where everything is. And it still has that thing that makes, you know, when those couple of scenes come up and like, damn, it's just, again, I find it hard to describe how much I like this game. And there's a reason I've never done a proper video on it, you know, putting into words, because I can't even describe how much this game means to me. It's my favorite game on the PS3, and it's my favorite game ever.
So is that everything you hoped for?
So there you go. My top 10 favorite PS3 games. By all means, let me know what your top 10 favorite games are. The great thing about the PS3 and its infinite life cycle, not life cycle, lifespan, is that thousands of games were released and everyone will have a different top 10. Like, I know people whose top 10 would be FIFA 09, FIFA 10, FIFA 11, FIFA 12, and others would be the Call of Duties and Battlefields, or some other crazy games, you know, like Street Fighter or Tekken. You know, there's just so many great games in that console. Anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.